So in this last video, we talked about the use of biodiesel and the creation of biodiesel maybe in a laboratory. How can we take spent waste vegetable oil? How can we convert that over into something that we call biodiesel to run a vehicle with? And it was very easy. The only thing that we needed was a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of base, like sodium hydroxide. And that was it, folks. We said that the ASTM got involved. The ASTM put standards onto this product that we would regard as B100, and then we would have to test this product before we began to sell it to a consumer as truly biodiesel. It was a way that we could test the product, the quality of our product, to make sure that it was going to be safe and effective for people to use. I know that safe and effective is really meant for FDA, but it is something that we look at with many different number of products, including biodiesel. We want to make sure this stuff is going to work. If not, people aren't going to buy it, and then we're going to go out of business. So the ASTM test allow us to confirm that. And I said, listen, everybody should be happy, right? Not only that, we're using waste product, but at the same time, we're creating less pollution due to the burning of the biodiesel. Now, when I said less pollution, yeah, some of it's coming out of the exhaust of a car, but we're really focused on the word net. It's less net carbon emissions, meaning that in order to create diesel, there is a process involved. We've talked about that process. Crude oil getting sucked up, crude oil getting separated off into fractions. That requires heat, that requires a lot of energy. As you can imagine, that is a energy producer and a emissions hog when these oil companies are concerned. So we're pumping out emissions during those times in order to get something that we call diesel. Well, this is net emissions, right? So when we create biodiesel, what we're really referring to is the amount of energy needed throughout the process from beginning to end. Meaning in this case, waste oil to biodiesel versus the energy consumption and emission that's required from crude to regular diesel. This created much less emissions. So I said people should be happy, right? I mean, we're kind of making everybody happy, the consumer happy, the environmentalist happy. We're not making the oil company happy necessarily, but those two people should be okay. Wrong. Again, it's kind of the theme of the story here. You start to see cartoons like this. You start to see attitudes that begin to change against biodiesel. And this whole concept of food versus fuel comes around. We had a rapid growth in biodiesel. We've already talked about the number of companies that began to pop up, right? These number of companies went from 25 to over 200 in a matter of handful of years. So we had protesters. Of course, we had protesters. What do you think those protesters were doing? They were protesting probably something that they had no clue what they were protesting on. That's the traditional protester, if I had to sum it up. So protesters came around and they said, oh, no, we can't have biodiesel. The reason that we can't have biodiesel is because it uses vegetable oil, and that vegetable oil comes from vegetables, and those vegetables are grown in fields, and those fields are generating crops, and these crops, like these corn stalks in this cartoon, this is meant for food. We've had this debate. You can't use food to make fuel. What's going to happen is all these farmers are going to get together and they're going to say, we're not going to grow any more crop for food. All of our crop is going to be devoted to fuel. And then what are we going to do? We'll have no food. People will starve to death. That's what they were protesting. They were afraid that the farmers would begin to use their land for crop production that would be dedicated to biofuel and biodiesel production. What happens when we run out of land? Well, then the protesters said, they run out of land, it's not going to stop them. What's going to happen is that they're going to go into our forest and they're going to level it out. They're going to cut down all the trees. They're going to mow up all the grass. And they're going to plant all these crops, and all these crops are going to be devoted again to fuel, not for food. And we're going to get destruction of our forest because of it. Wetlands were the same. They claimed in their head that everything would be mowed down across the country so we could plant crops that would be devoted to biodiesel and biofuel production. We had to put a stop to it. Guess who was involved? A little organization called Greenpeace. Greenpeace said, oh, not only that, listen, they're going to go in and mow down the forest, but guess what? When they mow down the forest, they're going to use all of this big, heavy equipment. They're going to be burning all of this foliage around. They're going to create so much pollution. They're going to create so much damage that biofuel and biodiesel are actually going to create more carbon pollution in the end. Don't let them lie to you. Wait, what? We just said biodiesel comes from vegetable oil waste. They're trying to make an argument that crops are going to be grown so they can give that to the biodiesel world so they could make their own vegetable oil that's not waste and then take that vegetable oil and create biodiesel out of. And then they're going to give me an argument that says people are going to mow down everything that we have to plant these fields because it's going to get out of hand and we're going to have more carbon emission, more pollution in the end as a result. Which way do you want it, folks? Do you want to loosen our dependence on crude oil? And we can do that through biotechnologies like this. Or do you just simply not want us to use oil at all? If that's the case, then that's what you need to say. We don't want you to use anything oil related, and we don't want you to use any substitute that would be oil related. Is that what this is all about? Well, here's an ad that Greenpeace took out. If the land used to grow food for animals and biofuel was used to grow plant food for humans, the world could feed 4 billion extra people. This whole concept, again, of land. Well, first off, when they talk about 4 billion extra people, there's not 4 billion people in the United States. What they're referring to here is global. So their message here is to say, we're not going to use farmland for biofuel. We don't want you to use fuel from crude oil first. Then we don't want you to use biofuel either as an alternative. And the reason is because we want these fields to be dedicated for food. So we can grow food and we can sell food to people who are starving, who need food, because we're Greenpeace. And Greenpeace makes you feel good because it says green and peace in the name. But yet we're going to take the food that a United States farmer would grow, and we are going to have that food to be shipped out globally to fill or feed 4 billion extra people. Again, are they really protesting something that they know about? Or are they protesting for their own personal agenda? What do you think the oil company is going to do? Just think about this. Let's say I'm in the oil industry. Let's say that I am producing diesel and I'm selling that diesel to you as a consumer. And then I see this organization called Greenpeace. And Greenpeace is pushing for no biofuel. Do you think if I was an oil company, I would go against what Greenpeace is going to do? Absolutely not. Because, folks, if they can cut out biofuel and Greenpeace can push their agenda to cut out biofuel and biodiesel, then guess what? There's no mixing. There's no blending. It's really 100% regular diesel at this point. 100% regular gas at this point. If I increase the usage or the concentration of the gas and the diesel at the pump, guess what? These oil companies, they get to sell more of their product. They get to sell more of the oil. So if I'm an oil company selling this product to the consumer, and I see this organization that claims that they're out for peace and environmental health across the globe, and that group is pushing for no biofuel and no biodiesel, I'm going to let them do it. I'm going to let them keep protesting because their agenda is actually helping me. Their agenda with no biofuel and no biodiesel means no blending because they don't want us to use it. And if we're not going to blend, then guess what? That's more of my product that can go into a gas tank. Pretty clever. Here's another slide. This one's going to devote to the U.S. EPA. What does the U.S. EPA say about this, right? I mean, Greenpeace, they're experts. Greenpeace protesters, they're out. They're telling me this is bad. Farmland's going to be taken. Crops are not going to be grown for food. You're going to starve. You've got to take action. The world's going to end in 5 years. I mean, that's typically what they do, right? So what does the EPA actually say? What do people with at least a little bit of science behind their belt say about the biodiesel and biofuel industry? EPA in 2010, on average, corn ethanol produced in a plant powered by natural gas results in a 21% reduction of greenhouse gases compared to gasoline. Hey, it's great for the environment. EPA gives you an approval. I know we've had issues with EPA in the past, but guess what? These people, they're kind of pushing. Corn ethanol produced in a plant powered by natural gas results in 21% reduction in greenhouse gases. However, soy biodiesel results in a 57% reduction in greenhouse gases. Biodiesel produced from waste, that waste vegetable oil, our studies show 86% reduction in greenhouse gases. Folks, you got to make up your mind. You want to talk about pollution? Do you want to talk about these environmental issues? If so, then you need to stick to what you know best. And here we have EPA studies, scientific studies done on emissions that create pollution. And the EPA says if we take waste oil, waste vegetable oil, for example, and we convert that to biodiesel, we have an 86% reduction in pollution, basically, in order to get that product. Is this not what you want to be about? Is this not what you are trying to push as far as your agenda goes? Why do you have such an issue, a big issue with biodiesel then because of it? Well, that's because they have images of this. These forest land leveled, wiped out in order to grow food product that's not really designed to be food product. It's meant for fuel consumption. The issue here is that biodiesel can never replace full-blown oil. Can never do it. Or your diesel. The reason is because we simply do not have enough land. That is true. We do not have enough land to market enough biodiesel for everyone's diesel cars that they are driving around in. We're going to need crude oil throughout this entire process. Biodiesel will help out. We can blend it. It will make it cheaper. We'll use less of the crude diesel, but that can never get replaced. Not only that, but the incorporation of biodiesel, well, we've already seen by EPA, is going to lower air pollution down if we do it the right way. So environmentalists, you should be happy with this. We're creating less pollution for the earth and the planet. And we're also lowering dependence on foreign oil. No longer are they telling us what they want to charge for a gallon or for a barrel. We're making that determination, and we're lowering our dependence and our demand off of their product that they have, that they want to market and sell to us. In addition, we're also increasing farmer profits. If we are allowing them to grow crop for food as well as to grow crop for fuel, then now this farmer has two different markets they can sell to. Think of you coming up with a product that you want to sell, right? If you had this product in your hands and you wanted to sell it to a group of people, well, wouldn't two groups of people be better than one group of people that you want to target and advertise to? Of course there is. The more groups you can get involved, the more money you're going to make. So this is great for the farmer as well, right? Well, here's another slide, and it basically talks about the percentage of land that is dedicated to biofuel. Keep this image in mind. They're going to level it out. They're going to destroy the forest. They're going to wipe everything off the face of the earth. We need land in order to grow food. We don't need land in order to give us fuel. Right? This cartoon, this poor little boy holding out a bowl. Could I have some more, sir? And then he looks at this farmer and he says, well, I don't have food, but I got some ethanol that I can give you. You want to start getting drunk at an early age? All of these images, kind of powerful. Again, if you don't do your research, and the research is here. Out of all of the crop land that is defined as cropland, 5% is used for biofuel. Right there, that sliver. 5%. Where's all these images of the leveling forest? 5% is used for biofuel. 95% is used for food. What are you protesting? What are you warning us about? Are you saying that if you did not get involved, that this would have been a higher percentage? Well, if you look at the breakdown, what areas really took a toll or a hit when it comes to biofuel production? Basically, what I mean by that is take a look at the bar graph, and this bar graph is going to give you a red area. This red area, the larger the red area, the more dedicated it is to biofuel. So out of everything that's grown, maize, looks like that took a bigger hit. Soybean, looks like that took a bigger hit, right? It looks like a lot of the soybean fields, a lot of the maize fields were more dedicated to biofuel than some of the others. But folks, everything else, minimally impacted. There are no leveling of forest. There are no digging up of wetlands because these farmers are trying to target the biofuel industry. The biofuel industry is only representing 5% of our cropland, and that is it. Now, how much is too much? Well, that's a different story. That's a different video. That's a different argument. But as of right now, 5% on average is getting dedicated to the biofuel industry. But with that said, we know that this is a sensitive subject. So, a question comes around later on in the timeline that says, well, what if we just don't rely on crops? Okay? Can we produce biofuel, whether it's biofuel or biodiesel, without crop? Is there another source? Is there something else that we can look at besides farmland in order to give us this product? And the answer is yes, there is. And we'll learn about that in the next video.